Hello and welcome. It's often said that justice is the soul of a democratic society, the bedrock upon which the rule of law and public confidence are built. For any nation to truly function, its laws must not only be written but obeyed, and its citizens must believe without a shadow of doubt that the system works for everyone and not just the powerful. Today, however, that foundation is under immense pressure. The police and the judiciary are the constitutional guardians of our safety and our rights. They're mandated to enforce the law and deliver justice. Yet, for many Nigerians, the gap between the letter of the law and the reality on the streets remains dangerously wide. Are these institutions truly performing their roles, or are they in need of a total systemic overhaul? Tonight, we'll take a look at this and more. Our guest is a former Solicitor General of Lagos State, a seasoned justice reform advocate, and the former head of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Thank you for being here with us.
Pleasure.
I think I'll start from your background. You've paid your dues, as we say in Nigeria, in the justice sector. So I would like to take off from that point. Can you help us understand, from your perspective, how you assess the rule of law in Nigeria right now?
The rule of law?
Yes.
Well, I think, first of all, I'll say many people have a very narrow understanding of rule of law. They think it's just about court judgments, whether you obey or disobey. But rule of law means institutional control over, so traffic control is part of the rule of law. Yes, traffic. Just things that make society organized.
So in all its ramifications, yes, obeying
the law. That's it, bottom line. So our state of that, for me, is a bit wobbly, if you like, because you see men in uniform who are supposed to enforce the rule of law, acting outside it. You have slow, if you like, people ignoring. I'll give you a simple example. You have the Federal Road Safety Corps,
yes,
which is part of the rule of law structure. Then you have a single individual driving a vehicle with a learner sign on it. The law is that you cannot do that without an instructor next to you.
Or somebody, a licensed driver.
Let's say an instructor, yes, licensed driver, anybody that is controlling. When they drive past FRSC people and they don't seem to understand. So there's an issue of, if you like, understanding even by those who are to enforce the law. I think the training needs to change. I think there needs to be more emphasis on what exactly is the law I'm supposed to enforce. So so I would say it's wobbly. I would say that the courts are still generally obeyed.
Okay.
We've seen it with the tinted glass permits or law or whatever it is. The NBA went to court, and the police, even though there was no specific order, the police stepped down, at least for some time. So I think there are also issues of people being in detention, that's come up for some time, being in detention for longer than
they should.
Probably they should.
Yes.
Yes, as I said, the rule of law is about all aspects.
Yes.
And you have a situation where some institutions understand their function in relation to the structure of the rule of law, and some don't seem to, or its personnel don't seem to. And then there are the issues of people not doing what they are supposed to do or doing what they are not supposed to do. And we see examples of it on TikTok or whatever. Happily, the government seems to react positively to those reports, and we've seen many people removed from office or demoted. It's all part of the structure. I think the rule of law works where there's quote and unquote the right attitude, public attitude, respect for other people's. Nigeria seems to be half and half on that. A lot of people behave as if there is no law. So it's up to the institutions to check that. But even in the institutions, you have some members who feel they are beyond or above the law. These are the things that the leadership, of these institutions, in my view, needs to check. It's not enough just to change the law. You have to change the attitude. Sometimes when you change the law, a lot of people are not even aware. So, I would give the courts are generally obeyed. Generally, they still have the power to imprison people or release people, etc. So I would put it at 50-50.
Okay.
That would be my own view.
You raised a very interesting point.
Yes.
The issue of the perception that once we say rule of law, it means government obeying.
Yes. Whereas it's a general thing.
And from what you've just given as an example, it also brings to fore the issue of how institutions themselves perceive their roles.
That's it.
And that's a very important
thing. That to me is critical.
Because it's not even about changing the law. It's about obeying what we have. Right now. So should we be advising the institutions to pick up from what they
definitely, especially where we see some failings.
Yes.
It's incumbent on us to say to them, hey, not in an aggressive or negative way, but hey, you missed out this element. We observe it every day. So you need to call your men in and reinforce.
Because a lot of people also say that, there's always this about if you go abroad, you go to other climes, you see people, but in Nigeria, we just do anyhow.
I think doing anyhow is becoming the norm, even in these overseas countries. You see the level of public disorder in an English town in the night when they've had a few drinks. It is extraordinary. So it's the response of the institutions that are key in that regard.
And so that's what we should do. So our institutions need to do more.
That's it, to enforce this rule of law. It isn't an automatic thing that once the court has said, then no. Even the environment of the court. I am aware of how hard chief judges had to fight to restore order even in the premises of the court. Yes, because people were just, going crazy. There's a chieftaincy matter. This side comes singing, the other side comes, and so on. So you see, we must never take anything for granted, particularly in the modern world where people talk about rights and they see all kinds of things happening. You have, as an institutional head, you have to enforce order in your space.
What's the role of the citizens, of the people?
Yeah, the citizen will react when he knows there are control mechanisms. If he doesn't feel that there are control mechanisms, he'll go off, and if he's somebody that didn't have the right kind of schooling or family or whatever, he's not going to be very thinking, if you like, about what is order.
Or what the implications.
What are the implications of if I behave in a particular way? So that's why you had cults and all these things growing gradually, because there were either some of the officials were compromised, or they just didn't pay enough attention to those kind of things.
Okay. Now, if I follow up from where you were speaking as regards the courts, you spent some time working in the justice system. If you were to now, what's your reaction to perception by some people that it looks like the justice system does not favor the common man? I like using that phrase, the common man, the man on the street, to a situation where it looks like those who understand how the system works can take advantage of maybe the system and blind justice or get away with what they want. What's your reaction to
You
that
see,
perception?
perceptions are sometimes difficult to, if you like, situate. It's a perception. If you lose a case, you feel bad. There are cases where both sides are at the top level. You know, each has a senior advocate and so on, and one loses and so on. So I don't think it's a, I mean, common man case. What's a common man's case? Maybe what do you call it now?
Rent.
Maybe landlord-tenant rent case, or damage to a car or something. I think these are, I don't think people pay enough attention to these as to the outcome for them to make the, come to the conclusion that the common man does not get justice. There are, I would say, really few cases where it's common man versus wealthy man. It's usually people of the same social class that go against each other in the courts. And I think the courts have been fairly, when you read the reports, the courts have not shown undue bias in favor of the so-called big man, once the facts are. And even if at the first level they do so, usually it's corrected, you know, the higher you go on appeal.
Is it normal to have the court system such that, like it is in our climate, where it's such a long?
Well, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
That's a different. That has nothing to do with. Yes, I agree that some people will allege that they can get their case ahead faster than others, but generally, to me, I think the administration of the courts is where the problem is. The clerical staff, the registrars and all of that. That's where we need
What do
to
you mean
make
by
change.
that?
Because those are the ones that handle the cases. The judge reacts to what he's given by the system.
Yes.
What comes up to him. He's an end user of Now that administrative system is just like civil service. It's not very efficient. It's not very effective. To me, a lot of that stuff should be outsourced. Secretarial stuff and all of that should be outsourced to people who are competent at it, right? And with whom you have a contract so that you can get what you... But when you leave it to judicial staff, a lot of the time you don't get value for...
And that could be a major
That's
problem.
a major problem. In fact, it was raised by justices of the Supreme Court at a 2023 conference on the courts. And we haven't looked enough at that, in my view.
So if we address that, it can help us address the issue of length of time
Court cases. Of course it can. There's corruption in that system. There's, you know, a lot of incompetence, you know, typical bureaucracy, you know. The courts, especially in a country like this, we're very litigious. I mean, that's the word. Yes, we like filing cases.
Yes.
In the Delta, it's all about chieftaincy and so on and so forth.
Land,
in
case
Lagos,
dispute,
commercial land and so on. And the judges are overwhelmed, particularly because the system is not rational. It's merely numbers and somebody dealing with numbers. You know, and there's no... if you like, there's no choke point, or at least a point where you can say this is not a case for the courts, and so on and so forth. So, and I think the Constitution is too liberal about access to justice. Everybody is shouting access to justice. Yes. Okay, so I get in the system. Now my exit is a problem. And so you can't be talking access without exit. You must find a way that, you know, is efficient.
We also have this issue that some of the public cases you see make it problematic when you see those playing it, like the political cases where this person gets
they take up too much time.
Apart from that, you get an injunction here, then you run to another court, you get an injunction here. We still seem not to be able to address, even from the point of the judges. So
that's one element. Yes. I would think that once a case has been filed somewhere, that's where it should stay. You know, and it's managed, and then the next level is appeal, not a parallel process. So these are the kind of things I say that the administration, you see, when we say administration of justice,
Yes.
we're not talking about the judgment. We're talking about the process. And, it's expensive, it's a time wasting, and I think a lot of more things can be done. But happily, there's a gradual process. It's difficult to change a justice system. It's embedded in, age-old traditions and so on. In England, they had a really hard time from the, what is it called now? There's this report that they put together that showed so much. Even now, today, they have 92,000 criminal cases unresolved. 92,000. So it's everywhere. Once you apply the innocent until proven guilty and all that preponderance of evidence, once you start
then
all
you
that,
can bring up any,
then you
if you
can
have an
bring
issue,
ahead,
it must be resolved
bring a motion
before it.
In England, in the civil cases, they don't waste time because the costs are huge. If you mess about, the court will impose on you a cost that really reflects the cost of your time wasted. Here, we are afraid to do that. The costs are ridiculous. 120,000, in today's, with the exchange rate the way it is. So, I think there needs to be some courage shown by the court administrators. However, we talk about the Chief Justice of Nigeria, but she's not really the boss of all judges. No,
Oh, really?
She can't give an order to.
No, she can't.
She can't.
Every judge is
exactly.
is
So
the king of his own.
So some people have the misconception that she can just snap her fingers and change things. No, attitudes have to change. Happily, there's a lot of training and seminars going on about how a judge should think, how a judge should see. It's not just your knowledge of cases. It's how you manage, things. You can say, no, we're not going to waste time with that. We're going to do this. And we'll be backed by appellate courts and so on. Again, the resources, that there should be a central case load computer. There should be. So that anywhere I am, if I enter, it will tell me where the case is. And if the case is now in 2 courts, I can run to the other one and say, hey, you can't do this, but these things are not easy to do.
It appears I've been the one steering you in some particular direction.
Okay.
But I know you've been an advocate for reforming the justice system in Nigeria. And I know Lagos State had taken a lot of large steps.
That's right.
I think they were the first to even start the issue of computerized
all
that.
Oh, yes.
And even allowing, it's not judges alone that. How much change have we seen in Nigeria? I don't want to ask about Lagos so that I don't give you an opportunity
I know. As I said, changing justice systems is very difficult.
Even this needed.
Listen. Let's try and put it in perspective.
Yes.
This is a dispute between 2 parties.
Yes.
Right. And the justice system tries to find a balance so that it doesn't appear as if it's interfering. Yes. You know what they say, that judges should try and keep, themselves separate. But sometimes,
listen to the facts.
Just listen to the facts. But sometimes, if you are not pushful as a judge, you will just find that the case goes on and on forever because parties come with different. So at a point, the judge should be able to say, hey, no more of this, let's go into the. But then, what you get is a petition that, the judge is interfering, he has taken sides and so on. So it's a very delicate thing, this whole thing. And I think the easiest aspect is the legislation, to me, because in Lagos, for instance, sorry to talk about Lagos, I did the first draft of the criminal justice law. Okay. Then I submitted it to in fact, I was given time off to go and look at it. Then I handed it over to the Attorney General, Yemi Oshibajo. And from there, we pushed it to a committee. They worked on it, and then from there to the House, to the Executive Council, they approved it and so on. And there were many aspects in that space, in that legislation, that were supposed to drive, speed, change, etc. But I can tell you it took 10 years before magistrates began to exercise the remand powers in the way specified, and so many other elements of it, because there's an issue of, okay, can the magistrates operate independently without getting approval from the CJ? They ought to, because they are not supposed to be subordinate to the CJ administratively, only in terms of, but that's the way the system was. So it took about 10 years before they began to actually apply the new provisions. So that's one element. Tradition is one element. The structure of the bureaucracy is another element. It's not just, oh, we've done the laws and therefore everything changes. No, it takes time. Some people are nervous.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is because I know for a fact that even for some judges, it means more work for them. You are the judge.
Not necessarily.
You sit down. You hear each case.
Yes.
You take.
Yes.
Then you hear the next case.
Yes.
You have to get it down.
Yes.
If we all agree that there is a need for
that
a change.
element. Listen, that's what I keep saying. There's always a human element to this thing.
Yes.
This recording.
Yes.
It's been applied since early 2000s. Look. Some judges, right? First of all, when you do a system like that, you need people with very good language skills.
True.
Yes, the recorder, very good language skills.
And speed.
But that has been, as you know, English, we moved to Pidgin, we're very comfortable with Pidgin, so English language skills are rare to find, especially from a legal argument. Reciprocal loquitur and all of that and all of that. The person is like, so when it gets to the judge, the judge is like, what? This is not what went on. So what you found was judges was, even while the recording was going on, they were still more comfortable with writing their own stuff. So there are attitudes that have to change. So if you are going to read law as a student, then the lecturer has to start to tell you from that point that, look, we're entering into a dynamic field. So don't just think it's this case that was in 18-something. There's more to it than that. You have to have skills. You have to have computer skills. Your English skills must be better, etc., etc. So we're not just teaching law. We're teaching law in a modern society. So I think, it's very complicated to change a system that's since the 16th century, is it about that, the time of the High Court, the King's Courts? I think about the 16th century, all that way till now. It's the same basic principles of the law, but now you are dealing with masses and masses of cases, paperwork, etc. There's like you said, rent, tenant, that's one. Then there's the admiralty. Then there's commercial. There are all kinds of things going on. Then you have your criminal. Huge number of cases in England or America.
Okay, so from what you say now is, but my own point is, which is what I'm coming to, Lagos did it.
To a degree, yes.
To a degree.
Yes.
I mean,
they did. They started it.
Yes, they started it. But the point is, has Nigeria and the rest other states?
Most states have adopted the criminal justice law, the new one. Most states, in fact, I would say all states. The issue is this. Look, let's look at California as a state. Let's look at their criminal justice system. In California, 85% of their cases are settled by plea bargain. 85% by plea bargain. 85%. They can't handle, if all of them were in court, they can't handle them. There are too many criminal matters. So they give you the option, right? And the prosecutor is pushing for that. Let's finish. So you were arrested for murder and charged for murder, but they're going to give you manslaughter. Reduction in sentence by, say, 10 years. You accept, you go. That's what they do.
Case is concluded.
85%. Now, the thing is, some people will say that, we don't like this plea bargain thing. People should be punished properly and so on. But your system can't take that load. That's why you have to find, that's why, so there is the actual prosecution, and then there is policy, because you are using budget, you know? So you can't take all the money because you are doing criminal cases. There's healthcare, there's all manner of other things. So you find a way. Okay. Yes, at least it's convicted and it's on the record and he can't do certain things, you know, having been convicted.
Yes, yes.
But here, we will be unduly moralistic and say, we don't like this thing about what was the lady that was given plea bargain even before the law changed, the bank lady, what's her name, Ibru. Cecilia. Yes. She gave up billions and was given a plea bargain. Yes. I assure you that if they didn't take a plea bargain, we'll still be in court till now.
But I would like to have your view on this discussion, the ongoing discussion now with the issue of the tinted permit and the issue of whether there is a what do you call it? What's the term you people use when you say things should stay as a
status quo?
Status quo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your take on that?
First of all, let me give you my personal view on tinted.
Yes.
Why are you tinting? When a country is fighting terrorism and criminality at this rate, then you see people with blacked out and no number plates, they've covered them. It's just criminal. Stop them. They everywhere in the world, tinted glass is regulated.
Yes.
If I have a worry at all, it's as if the way the structure is online, the procedure gives the impression that as long as you specify what you want the tinted glass, or you can get any level of tint and you pay for it, that troubles me.
There is not even any level. It's either you have it, you don't have it.
No.
So the degree of which kind of tint. There's an argument that there are tints that are coming with some vehicles.
Yes, and they've said it's there. Have you looked at the procedure? I've read it.
Okay.
POSAP is called.
Okay.
It tells you, look, it gives you dark, medium, light, and then you specify the one you want. And why do you want it? Security, health, whatever. And then,
so you have a problem with this?
I have a problem with, it means, and you are paying for it, of course, you pay for it. So it's almost as if, as long as you have paid for whatever level, you are fine. Okay. I have a problem. I would have thought black tint with no access inside, zero.
Should not be allowed.
Should not be allowed.
Okay.
The policeman that was killed in Benin last week, he approached a car that was fully blacked out. And when he got there, they just wound down and shot him because he couldn't see what was. So my view, that's right. So my view is full dark tint not allowed. The rest you can specify. That's it. But as to the validity of the process, validity of that law that Babangida passed,
is still valid.
It's still valid.
But what's your take on the issue of the cases in court? Status quo should be maintained, and then
you see, first of all, I don't get the MBA's complaint. Okay. They can't tell us the law is not valid.
Okay.
They may quarrel with the method of application. I heard them talking about why should we pay money and so on, but it's a cost. There's a cost to verifying your status. There's a cost. They are not computer experts, so they got in somebody. So I don't see what's wrong with that. I really don't see the purpose of the suit.
Okay.
I'm sure they are not expecting that the court will say, you can't check blacked out windows. I'm sure they are not looking for that. I don't know. Maybe they just want to be active, etc. So my view is that the the whole issue of tinted windows and security is a valid issue
well,
for me.
what I was taking you on is that where a case is in court,
Yes.
and the judge says,
Okay, status quo.
Status quo should
Yes,
be
yeah,
maintained, and then we're hearing the police say
no,
that.
it's a matter of interpretation.
Really?
What is, okay, let me ask you, what was, by the time the NBA went to court, what was the status quo? They were enforcing the law.
Okay.
Yes, so when it says status quo should continue,
No, the NBA is saying that's not the case.
that's NBA's view. I'm saying,
should we come to this point where an order is given and
that's
then
what we say about the system we have chosen. This English, what do you call it now? It's common law and all of that. It's a matter of interpretation. That's why lawyers are trained to look at things from, what is status quo? What does it mean? It means remain as you were, not frozen, but as you were. And as we were was me enforcing the law and the NBA complaining. So who's in the better position?
So don't complain again, continue.
That's one way of looking at it, or that a complaint should stop you.
This issue of interpretation is also something that has become a major problem for us, where we get into heated debates over court judgments. What is the issue?
That's the beauty, I guess that's the beauty of, there are rules, golden rules, all kinds of rules of interpretation. Now, in my view, the most potent argument is the interpretation that makes sense. Some interpretations may not make sense. For instance, this judge saying status quo, well, what exactly was he intending?
And did he not know there will be room
for my maneuver? So he didn't say, I'm granting you an injunction. Police, stop until we resolve this. You say status quo. Status quo means, I'm the enforcer now, and you have not taken that away from me, therefore. So those are part of the problems of, that's why I think the training of lawyers just has to be more aggressive, more demanding.
The training of lawyers and also the people that become judges.
They are lawyers now.
Okay,
they are lawyers. They start as lawyers.
Okay.
How that brain, how you read a thing, how you measure or compare something against something and say, this won't make sense if we do it this way. Now, what would be the outcome? What's the outcome of status quo? Nobody is very clear. And that's why the police say there's no order stopping us. So we are going ahead.
And they should also take into consideration things that have happened, so that in the future they are also guarding against
it.
Let's move to the issue of security. And I know you've played an active role
to a degree.
To a degree. But you've also played a role when it comes to trying to help the police better do its work, even if it means coming back to prosecution and still the justice system. So I would like you to give us a view. What's your take on our security architecture as it is right now?
Okay, the architecture.
Yes.
Well, there is architecture, and then there is, if you like, application, if you like. Now, the architecture under the Constitution is that internal security issues are those of the police. The police, primary agent in ensuring internal security. When I was heading the trust fund, our priority was the police. The army will come and say, we need this. I said, no, sorry. You are not the people going around every community and seeing what's going on and reacting. Yours is like top-down. If you are not given the command, you don't do anything and so on. So not that you don't play a role, but the primary role. And that's what the Constitution says. It says that there shall be one police force, and so on and so forth. So the second level, of course, as the Constitution says, if there's civil whatever that gets out of the capacity of the police, then you can call in but you have to get the head of state, you have to get command. So command and control is fierce. So while the police function is automatic. They don't need any orders from above to go after.
They have standing
stop. It's a standing constitutional process. You are there to do this. You don't need anybody. Whereas if you read the army, you find there's a lot of command and control. So I would say first, the architecture is police. After police, I would say intelligence. Because if you don't know what's going on, you can't function properly. And our SS are quite good. We heard recently a governor complain that the SS had told the army that this was going to happen, and and all of that. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, then we have civil defense. I don't know what, quite frankly, I don't know what they are about. Because the Constitution says one police, and then you create another body. Obasanjo did it. That is almost mirrors the police in its function. So there's a problem there. But anyway, then you have what I'll call paramilitary. Although they are not really security, but it's security related, customs, immigration, and then on the dangerous side we have vigilantes, dangerous, unaccountable to anybody, etc., and forcing their way into the space, into the non-state actor space, forcefully. So that's what I see as the architecture, but I do not see it applied.
Okay.
If the police could give away 100,000 armed policemen on VIP protection, then you have dismantled the structure, right? I mean, we know that VIP protection is not in any law, it's a convention. There are 3 classes of people that are entitled. Number 1 is top executives of the country. That's the president, vice president, and the governors. And this is because should anything happen to them, then you will have constitutional crisis. You will have a leadership crisis. That's it. Then you have witnesses. What do you call them now? The witnesses in
any case.
Yeah, that's why you have witness protection. Good. They're entitled to, not singers and, I watch some of the singers with these guys in long coats, and I'm like, what the? I've written about it in this day. I've said it on TV that it is a ridiculous proposition for anybody to think that they are entitled because they have money or whatever. In any event, in the Police Act, it's not there. There's only one provision about protection, and that is the, what do you call this, what do you call them? Auxiliary policemen. That you can apply for auxiliary policemen to protect your property, not person.
So you are pleased with the president's
extremely pleased.
That they should be.
I said put those policemen into the rural areas where they have had no cover. People have had no cover in those areas. It's the police that should protect people. It's when you are outgunned that you now call in the military. You put 100, then you see them at supermarket pushing madam. I'm so angry at the way we do things. So now, because the situation got so bad, we now remembered. And I know that it has been in Asiwaju's bucket list for some time, because if you read the manifesto, it's there. Removal of policemen from their and return to core duty. So I believe it will have an impact on the... But let me say it. Some of them are still hiding in houses, protected. Yes, I've seen them. Yes, you go to some estates and you see them, hanging about. So the IG needs to go and get everybody must be removed from that duty. It's ridiculous. When a country is fighting a war, then some person in their big Jeep, black number.
Okay. So let me also now raise it, because you raised this earlier before. You were talking about the issue of the police and the funding.
Yes.
I think when you talk about the structure, the architecture you mentioned, the police is almost not the one that is on the first line charge now. We're having security concerns all across the country. It's the military that you see.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Well, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and this is, what do you call that? Asymmetrical warfare. It's not army to army. It's, you know. But I think that the first level of protection, of security, is trust. Trust. That means the police are in the community, aren't they? In their police stations, and they are in the community. So people can come in and come out. People can say to them, I saw some people planning something. And if the police are, I mean, if it's the old Popo, apart from on top of their game, properly supported, they will go there and sort them out. They've done it before, many times. Now, the army is a different proposition. The army sets up. It's not for you to just come and wander around there. No, it's a different. And they always wait, or so they tell us, they wait for orders. Police don't wait for orders. As I've told you, constitutionally, they are at play once they've been established. So, yes, the army has the firepower, right? But they may not necessarily have the intelligence or relationship power, which is important sometimes, which is why, while a lot, in fact, in recent times, they've been, you heard the Chief of Army Staff say it himself, don't wait for orders. He said it. So I'm not saying anything. They themselves acknowledge it. That, look, if you wait for orders, it's not going to come. So I believe first police. That's what, even after 9/11 in America, they didn't bring the army in. They just strengthened all the NYPD, all of that. Those were strengthened.
Your role in the Lagos State Trust Fund was to strengthen the police.
Yes, by giving them more assets.
More assets. And basically bring them up.
And bring them up, exactly.
Now looking at from your background and all you try to do, looking at today, do you feel states still need them?
Still need what?
States.
Still need what?
Trust fund, a sort of trust fund.
Not necessarily. Look, you know, we're a big state, small footprint, but large in terms of communities, etc., etc. And the police just did not have enough equipment, particularly vehicles and radio. They did not have.
They still don't have.
No, but they are better in Lagos. You haven't done the research. Go and do the research of how many.
Maybe in Lagos.
In Lagos. That's why Lagos is relatively safe. Relatively safe. What happened is that we discovered that you can't get through with a call to say, robbers are in my area or whatever. And then the police just did not have the capacity. What we did, vehicles. We gave them over 3,000 vehicles. And federal gives them 3 vehicles. That's the command every year, 3. Meanwhile, federal is supposed to be responsible for, so they are not Lagos State Police. They are Lagos State Federal Police in Lagos. That's what they are. Then there's, so they didn't have. And then they have to fuel the vehicles, no fuel money. You will be shocked.
Sorry, please. You said the federal gives them 3
vehicles a year.
And you met a need of 3,000.
No, we gave them in the period I was there. Yes.
So there was that need.
Of course, and they gave them 3, and they still want to take trust fund vehicles to escort ministers, which we said no at that time. That would be 20, because I left there in 15. But they are still, somebody has offered to build the trust fund, headquarters down there, because every year they've accounted for what they received, etc., without the trust fund and its contributions from individuals.
So it was to help.
Yeah, to help. To actually, to support.
Yeah, because support. What we're saying directly is that there's a
massive
shortage and not meeting up. From the statutory financing.
Yes.
And so you had to do.
That's right. Okay. That's right.
Okay.
So we got banks to deposit, individuals to deposit, companies to deposit, like Dangote.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking now. I'm saying, so is this not a blueprint that other states can't tap into?
No, some have.
Okay.
Delta just did. Federal took our model and created a police trust fund. Theirs is just police, ours was security. Police trust fund. The problem I have with that is that they have police members on the board.
Okay,
So
yours didn't.
No, we didn't.
What's the problem with that?
Because you cannot be a beneficiary and a trustee at the same time. You are making decisions about what you will get. So there are issues, but I don't want to get.
Okay.
It's playing its role. Theirs is different from ours because the money they get is from, they get statutory, then they get a percentage of profits from companies, etc. Ours was not, we didn't compel anybody, you understand? We just said, please contribute, and people did.
We have an issue in the country right now.
Yes.
If you look at the state of our policing
Yes.
and all that,
Yes.
if you were to give from your background an advice to the federal, what would you say you think should be done?
Okay, first of all, as first stage, as they've done, recall everybody from non-police duty, which they've done. That's VIP, all that rubbish. Bring people, because nobody by law is entitled. The legislatures are fighting, saying they need rubbish. That's not what the police are for. Bring them, that's number one. So you enhance numbers. Number two, like they are doing, hire more police. So they are hiring 50,000. I hope they train them well this time. Give them more equipment, especially in the area of electronic listening from phones, like they did under Jonathan, but which was dismantled for some reason under Buhari. Then like the president said, their training is not good enough. So they want to create training,
Yes.
you know. Give them more equipment, the police, spread them out more, you know, and let them go back to their core duties, you know, which is presence in virtually every area. Because when there are times we'd go to what you call them now, local government areas, what do you call it, non-urban, and you just see two policemen in the station. Terrible. They are supposed to, you know. So that was one reason for the recall. Yeah, and just give them more authority, because it appears that the police today, especially ones you see at checkpoints and so on, are afraid to stop certain categories of cars. You know, they'll salute, and you know, we need to give them back their capacity. We need to stop this idea that only the army can deal with our problems. So that's something I think about.
I would like to thank you very much.
Oh, we're done. No?
Very grateful. As my guest noted, the path to a safer and just Nigeria is no simple walk in the park. It's a complex journey, but one we must navigate with unwavering determination if we're to see a nation where the rule of law is the standard and not the exception. Our commitment to reform must be as constant as the challenges we face. Well, the conversation doesn't end here. It's now your turn. What are your thoughts on the reforms we've discussed tonight? I want to hear your views, your reactions, and your questions. Connect with us on all our social media handles or send us an email. And if you missed any part of tonight's discussion or you'd like to revisit our previous episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, simply search for Newsnight, click on the playlist, and catch up on the episodes that matter most to you. Thank you for being an essential part of the conversation tonight. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed. Bye.